the heart of the kingdom of Arendelle, the grand palace gleamed under the morning sun. Its tall towers and golden gates reflected centuries of history and the pride of the royal family. Inside the palace, servants moved quietly along the marble floors, carrying trays of fresh fruit and fragrant flowers. Every corner smelled of roses and lavender, and the walls were adorned with paintings of past kings and queens. The air felt heavy with the sense of tradition and authority. Camilla, a young woman from a minor noble family, stepped through the palace gates with a confident smile. She wore a fine dress of deep green and gold, a color that suited her proud posture. Her family had always hoped for recognition, and now, after the death of the late Queen Isolde, Camilla believed that her moment had come. She had spent years studying the palace records and the Queen's old documents, convinced that the property and lands of the late Queen should belong to her family. As she walked through the marble halls, her eyes sparkled with excitement. She imagined the treasures, the lands, and the influence she could gain if the royal council agreed to her claims. Camilla's steps were firm, almost defiant, as she approached the council chamber. The guards stationed along the hall watched her with suspicion, sensing that her presence might stir trouble. The chamber doors were grand, made of carved oak and polished to a shine. Inside, the royal council waited in a semicircle, their faces serious and formal. Lord Henley, the chief advisor, cleared his throat as Camilla entered. "Lady Camilla, you may speak," he said, his voice calm but firm. Camilla lifted her chin and began. "Esteemed council members, I come today to present my claim to the late Queen Isolde's properties. My family is the rightful heir through distant bloodlines, and it is only just that her lands and treasures be returned to us." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I have documents, letters, and family records that prove my claim." A silence filled the room. Some council members exchanged uncertain glances, while others frowned. Lady Marin, known for her sharp mind and sense of fairness, was the first to speak. "Lady Camilla, the late Queen's will is clear. She entrusted her property to the crown and her chosen successors. Any claims outside her will require careful verification." Camilla's eyes flashed. "With all due respect, Lady Marin, I have spent years researching this matter. My family has waited patiently, and now justice must be served. The late Queen's treasures should not be lost to distant heirs. They belong to those with blood ties, to those who honor her memory." At this, Lord Henley's brow furrowed. "We cannot ignore the law and the Queen's final wishes. Her will is binding. The Crown has responsibility over her property until such time as lawful heirs are confirmed. We must follow procedure, not personal desire." Camilla's lips pressed together, but her gaze did not falter. "Then I ask, Council, will you examine my documents? Will you allow me to prove my family's right?" Before anyone could respond, a figure entered the chamber. Captain Rowan, the head of the Royal Guard, stepped forward. His armor gleamed, and the red plume on his helmet marked him as a figure of authority. "Lady Camilla," he said, his voice firm but polite, "I must remind you that the palace is not open for unscheduled claims. Your presence here is causing unrest among the council and the palace staff. You must leave until a formal hearing can be arranged." Camilla's eyes narrowed. "I have waited long enough, Captain. I have the right to be heard now. I will not leave until my family's claim is acknowledged." Rowan's expression remained calm, but his hand rested on the hilt of his ceremonial sword. "Lady Camilla, I advise you to reconsider. The palace is a place of order and law. Any attempt to force your claim without proper procedure will not be tolerated. I cannot allow you to remain here against council decisions." Camilla took a deep breath. She had expected resistance, but she had not expected it to be so direct. "Then you leave me no choice," she said softly, though her voice carried through the chamber. "I will not step aside. The truth will be seen. My family deserves what is ours." The council members exchanged worried glances. Lady Marin spoke again, her voice gentle but firm. "Lady Camilla, we value your passion and respect your family, but the Crown has rules that must be followed. I urge you to present your documents at the proper time. This chamber is not the place for confrontation." Camilla's gaze swept the room. "I came here to honor the late Queen, to restore what is rightfully mine. If that makes me a threat, so be it. I will not apologize for seeking justice." Captain Rowan stepped closer, his presence commanding attention. "Lady Camilla, I must insist. For the peace of the palace, you are required to leave. If you refuse, I will have no choice but to escort you out." Camilla's hands trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. Pride and determination burned in her chest, but she knew that Rowan was not a man to be easily challenged. She looked around the chamber one last time as if to memorize every face and detail. Then with a final defiant glance, she straightened her shoulders and prepared to make her stand. "I will not leave until my family's claim is heard," she said, her voice firm. "The late Queen's memory deserves justice. I will not be ignored." Captain Rowan gave a small nod, signaling to the guards outside. 2 tall guards entered, their armor clinking softly. They moved with precise, practiced steps, forming a path to the chamber doors. Rowan's voice was calm but resolute. "Lady Camilla, I ask you one final time. Please step aside willingly. We do not wish for force to be necessary." Camilla's eyes flickered with a mixture of fear and determination. She knew that the situation could escalate quickly. Still, she stood her ground. "I will not move unless the council agrees to review my documents now. Anything else is unfair and dishonorable." Rowan sighed, a hint of frustration in his expression. "Very well, Lady Camilla. You leave no choice for me. Guards, escort her from the chamber." In a swift, controlled motion, the guards moved forward. Camilla's resistance was strong, but the royal guards were trained for moments exactly like this. With careful hands, they guided her toward the grand doors of the chamber, ensuring she remained unharmed but unable to return without permission. As she was led out, Camilla cast one last glance at the council. Her heart raced and anger mixed with despair. "This is not the end," she muttered under her breath. "My family will have what is rightfully ours. The truth cannot be hidden forever." Outside the chamber, the palace corridors were quiet. Servants peeked from behind curtains and doors, whispering among themselves about the boldness of the young noblewoman. Some admired her courage, while others feared the trouble her actions might bring. Captain Rowan released her gently but firmly. "Lady Camilla, you may return at a later time with a formal request. Until then, I advise caution. The crown values peace and order above all." Camilla nodded stiffly, her pride intact though her heart burned with frustration. She turned and walked toward the palace gates, her mind racing with plans. She knew that the council's refusal today was only a temporary setback. Her family's claim was valid, and she would find a way to prove it. The late Queen's legacy could not be stolen or ignored, and Camilla was determined to fight for what she believed was right. As the gates closed behind her, the palace returned to its calm rhythm, but the echoes of the confrontation lingered. Rumors would spread, whispers of a daring noblewoman who dared to challenge the authority of the royal council. In the kingdom of Arendelle, the balance between tradition and justice had been tested, and the story of Camilla's bold claim was only beginning. After leaving the Grand Palace, Camilla walked through the cobbled streets of Arendelle, her mind racing with ideas. The sun was high in the sky, casting warm light on the bustling market square. Merchants shouted their wares, children ran around laughing, and townspeople paused to glance at the young noblewoman who had just stirred the palace with her bold actions. Camilla did not speak to anyone. She kept her head high, her green and gold dress flowing around her as she moved with purpose. She found herself in the quiet garden behind her family estate, a place she often came to think. The flowers bloomed in brilliant colors, and the gentle sound of the fountain filled the air. Her younger brother, Thomas, was waiting there. He looked worried, fidgeting with the hem of his simple tunic. "Camilla," he said softly, "I heard what happened. Are you all right?" Camilla smiled faintly, though her eyes were sharp with determination. "I am fine, Thomas. I expected resistance. The council cannot ignore our claim forever. They may have power now, but the truth is with us. Our family has waited long enough." Thomas hesitated, but they were so firm. Captain Rowan and the council. They did not seem willing to listen. "What if it causes trouble for us?" Camilla placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Courage is never without risk. I cannot let fear stop me. If we do nothing, our family will lose the chance we deserve. I will prepare carefully. Next time, they will have no choice but to acknowledge our claim." She moved to the small wooden desk in the garden pavilion and began spreading out the documents she had collected. Ancient letters, birth records, and old property deeds lay neatly on the table. Camilla's fingers traced the words, each document a proof of her family's connection to the late Queen. She reviewed each one, making notes and highlighting important details. Thomas leaned over her shoulder, helping where he could. Hours passed and the sun began to lower in the sky. Camilla's determination had not faded. If anything, it grew stronger. "Tomas, we must also consider the people," she said finally. "The council listens to law, yes, but the people can influence decisions too. If they see that our claim is just, they will support us. That will make it harder for the council to ignore us." Tomas nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "How do we do that?" he asked. Camilla thought for a moment. "We share the truth carefully. Stories, letters, and evidence. We show the kingdom that our family has always been loyal to the crown, that we honor Queen Isolda's memory. That way we gather allies not with force but with reason and justice." Meanwhile, inside the palace, news of Camilla's bold actions had already reached the council members. Lord Henley convened an urgent meeting with Lady Marin and several other advisors. The room was quiet, tense with the weight of responsibility. "Her actions are reckless," Lord Henley said, frowning. "She has challenged the authority of the council and the crown. If this spreads, it could encourage others to make claims without proper procedure." Lady Marin spoke, her tone thoughtful. "While I understand your concern, we cannot ignore her entirely. Camilla is intelligent and persistent. She may have connections or evidence that could be legitimate. We must be cautious. Punishing her too harshly could make her a symbol for discontent." Another council member, Sir Alric, leaned forward. "But we cannot simply allow her to roam freely, spreading her story. The palace must maintain order. Captain Rowan's actions were correct. She needs to be restricted until the proper hearing can be arranged." Lord Henley sighed, rubbing his temple. "We need a plan. Camilla is clever. She will not give up easily. The council must act wisely, or we risk more challenges in the future." Back at her estate, Camilla continued her preparations. She spent the evening writing letters to distant relatives and family allies, explaining the situation and asking for their support. Every sentence was carefully chosen to show respect for the late queen and the crown, while asserting her family's rightful claim. Her younger brother Thomas brought her tea, his worry still visible. "Do you really believe they will listen next time?" he asked quietly. Camilla took a sip and looked out at the horizon. "I must believe they will. If I lose faith now, everything we've worked for is lost. The council may resist, but they cannot hide the truth forever. Justice has its own way of being recognized." Night fell over the estate and the stars shone brightly above. Camilla could hear the distant sound of the palace bells marking the hours. She knew that tomorrow, her plan would begin to move into action. She had gathered proof, prepared letters, and thought carefully about how to present her case again. But she also understood that patience and strategy were as important as courage. The next morning, Camilla awoke before dawn. She dressed in a simple blue and silver gown that allowed her to move quickly if needed. Thomas was already awake, arranging the letters she had written. Camilla looked at him and smiled. "We must be ready for anything today. The council may not expect us to return so soon, but I will not wait for their permission forever. We go as ambassadors of truth, not as intruders." With that, they set off toward the palace once more. The streets were quiet in the early morning, with only a few merchants opening their shops. Camilla and Thomas moved swiftly, carrying the carefully prepared letters and documents. They arrived at the gates where Captain Rowan and the guards were already present, their expressions stern. "Lady Camilla," Rowan said calmly, his voice carrying authority, "it is unusual to see you again so soon. Have you come to cause more disruption?" Camilla bowed slightly, her posture polite yet firm. "Captain, I come to present my documents properly. I seek a lawful hearing, not conflict. The letters and proof I bring demonstrate my family's rightful claim. I ask for only fairness and a chance to be heard." Rowan studied her carefully. He knew Camilla's determination well. It had been clear the previous day. "Very well," he said finally. "The council will hear your claim. Follow me, and you will be escorted to the chamber. Any attempt to act outside this request will result in immediate removal." Camilla nodded, grateful for the opportunity. "Thank you, Captain. I will follow all rules. I only wish the truth to be recognized." Inside the chamber, the council members waited, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and caution. Camilla and Thomas entered, presenting the documents and letters carefully. Lady Marin examined them closely, her sharp eyes scanning the pages. "These are extensive," she said quietly. "It will take time to verify everything. But your diligence is clear, Lady Camilla. You have presented your case with respect and detail." Camilla bowed her head slightly. I am grateful for your time and consideration, Lady Marin. I only ask that my family's claim be given proper review. The late Queen's memory deserves nothing less. Lord Henley cleared his throat. We will review the documents thoroughly. This process will take time. Meanwhile, Lady Camilla, we ask that you remain in the palace under supervision to ensure that all proceedings are orderly. You will not be required to leave unless we have completed our review. Camilla's heart leapt with a mixture of relief and pride. Thank you, my lords. I will respect your guidance. I only wish for truth and fairness to prevail. Captain Rowan escorted her to a small, comfortable chamber in the palace, where she could stay while the council examined her documents. She looked out the window at the gardens below, feeling a renewed sense of hope. Thomas stayed by her side, ready to assist her in any way. As the day passed, Camilla prepared herself mentally. She knew that challenges remained, but she also knew that her courage and persistence had earned her the chance to be heard. The people of Arendelle, the council, and even Captain Rowan would all witness her determination. Her family's rightful claim was no longer hidden, and the battle for justice had truly begun. And in the quiet halls of the palace, the echoes of Camilla's first bold steps lingered, a reminder that courage, preparation, and respect for the law could move even the most rigid walls of power. The next morning, the palace was unusually quiet. Sunlight poured through the tall windows of the council chamber, illuminating the polished floors and intricate tapestries on the walls. Lady Camilla sat at a small table in the chamber, her documents neatly arranged before her. Her eyes were sharp, reflecting determination and a quiet confidence. Her younger brother Thomas sat beside her, carefully organizing additional copies of letters and records. Captain Rowan stood nearby, his presence calm but commanding. He had grown to respect Camilla's courage, even if he could not fully agree with her boldness. Lady Camilla, he said, today is the day the council begins its review. Remember to remain patient. They are thorough, and it may take time for them to examine every detail. Camilla nodded. I understand, Captain. Patience is part of this process, but I will not allow anyone to overlook the truth. The council members entered one by one, each taking their place around the semicircular table. Lord Henley, as usual, presided with a serious expression. Lady Marin and Sir Alric were present, along with 3 other advisors. Each looked at Camilla and Thomas with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Lady Camilla, Lord Henley began, we will review your documents carefully. Please understand that this is a formal process. Any attempt to disrupt or rush the council will not be tolerated. Present your evidence clearly and concisely. Camilla took a deep breath. Thank you, my lords. I have prepared everything in order, and I will answer any questions you may have. My intention is only to provide the proof needed to recognize my family's claim to the late Queen's property. I have no wish to cause disruption. Lady Marin leaned forward, examining the first set of documents. These are old letters from the Queen's advisors and records of property transfers, she said. They appeared genuine. Can you explain the connection to your family? Camilla pointed to a series of letters tied with a red ribbon. These letters mention my ancestors as distant cousins to the late Queen. They were trusted advisors and stewards of certain lands. The documents show that these properties were promised to our family should no direct heir claim them. My family has waited for decades to claim what was legally and morally ours. Sir Alric frowned slightly. And what proof do you have that these promises were recognized by the Crown? Camilla handed him a set of sealed letters. These are communications between the Queen and our family, acknowledging the arrangement. They were kept secret at the time to avoid political disputes, but they exist and can be verified by the Royal Archivist. Lord Henley took the letters carefully, studying them under the soft light. Very well. We will need to verify the authenticity of these documents. The archivist will review them immediately. If they are genuine, this changes the situation considerably. Camilla felt a small wave of relief. Even though the process would take time, she had achieved her first victory. The council was taking her claim seriously. Thomas smiled slightly, squeezing her hand in quiet encouragement. Lady Marin spoke again, her voice calm but firm. Lady Camilla, it is clear that you have put much effort into preparing these materials. I must ask, however, why you chose to approach the council in such a bold manner yesterday. It created tension within the palace and among the staff. Camilla met her gaze steadily. Lady Marin, I did not intend to create conflict. but my family has waited patiently for years, and the loss of these lands would be a great injustice. I wished to be heard before the opportunity was lost. My intent was never to disrespect the council, only to ensure fairness. A quiet murmur ran through the room. Even Sir Alric seemed to soften slightly, recognizing the sincerity in Camilla's words. Lord Henley nodded. Very well. Let us proceed with the review. The archivist will report shortly. Until then, we will ask for your patience. Captain Rowan, please ensure that Lady Camilla is comfortable and secure. Rowan gave a small nod. Of course, my lord. Camilla was escorted to a small waiting room adjacent to the chamber. She looked around, noting the elegant but simple furnishings. A vase of fresh flowers sat on the table, and a soft carpet covered the floor. Thomas sat nearby, organizing the documents they had not yet presented. Hours passed slowly. Camilla and Thomas remained calm but vigilant, knowing that each moment could change the course of their family's future. Finally, a young archivist entered the room, bowing respectfully. Lady Camilla, the documents you have submitted have been examined. Their authenticity has been confirmed. Your family's connection to the late Queen is genuine. The council will now decide on the next steps. Camilla's heart leapt. Thank you, she said, her voice steady but filled with relief. I am grateful for the careful review. I only wish for justice to be done. The archivist nodded and left the room. Soon the council reconvened in the chamber and Camilla and Thomas returned. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a noticeable shift in the way the council regarded her. They were no longer merely cautious. They were respectful. Lord Henley spoke first. Lady Camilla, the council has reviewed your documents and verified their authenticity. It is clear that your family has a legitimate claim to the late Queen's properties. However, the council must also consider the broader impact on the kingdom and the wishes of the crown. We propose a formal arrangement to transfer some of the property to your family, while ensuring that the rest remains under the crown's care for public and royal purposes. Camilla's eyes widened slightly, but she quickly composed herself. I understand, my lord. My family seeks only what is fair and lawful. We are willing to cooperate fully with the crown to ensure a smooth transition. Lady Marin nodded approvingly. Your approach shows wisdom, Lady Camilla. It is rare to see such balance between persistence and respect. The council believes that this is the right way forward. A formal agreement will be drafted, and your family will receive its rightful share of the property. The council also requests that you assist in identifying any historical documents that may clarify the boundaries of your family's claim. Camilla bowed deeply. It will be my honor to assist, Lady Marin. My only wish is to honor the memory of the late Queen and to ensure that justice is served for my family. Sir Alric, who had been silent for much of the meeting, finally spoke. It seems that courage and preparation have served you well, Lady Camilla. This council rarely sees such determination combined with careful documentation. You have earned your recognition. Camilla smiled faintly, feeling the weight of the moment. Thank you, Sir Alric. I hope that my actions inspire others to pursue truth with patience and respect. Captain Rowan stepped forward. Lady Camilla, I must admit I did not expect such thorough preparation. Your determination has been impressive, and the council has acknowledged it. I am pleased that peace and order have been maintained, and that the process has led to a fair outcome. Camilla's gaze softened slightly toward him. Thank you, Captain. Your guidance and patience yesterday were also valuable. I am grateful that no harm was done, and that the Crown's rules were respected. With that, the council members began drafting the formal agreement. Camilla and Thomas were invited to review the drafts, ensuring that all historical claims were correctly represented. The process was meticulous, involving careful wording and precise details. It took hours, but Camilla's attention to every detail ensured that no errors were made. By late afternoon, the agreement was finalized. Lord Henley signed the documents first, followed by Lady Marin and the other council members. Finally, Camilla and Thomas signed, sealing the recognition of their family's rightful claim. A sense of accomplishment and relief filled the room. Camilla looked around at the council members, her heart full. Thank you, my lords and ladies. Your careful attention and fairness have allowed justice to prevail. My family will honor this responsibility and the memory of the late Queen. Lord Henley nodded solemnly. It is our duty to ensure fairness and order, Lady Camilla. Your patience, courage, and preparation have made this possible. May your family use this responsibility wisely. As the council adjourned, Captain Rowan escorted Camilla and Thomas from the chamber. The sun was beginning to set, casting warm colors across the palace walls. Camilla took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. She had faced resistance, navigated a tense situation, and emerged recognized and respected. Thomas looked at her with admiration. "You did it, Camilla. Your family's claim is recognized." The council listened. "You were incredible." Camilla smiled, her eyes reflecting the glow of the evening sun. "We did it, Thomas. It was not just me. It was preparation, truth, and patience. And we have only just begun. Now comes the responsibility of honoring what we have gained." The palace bells rang, marking the evening hour. Camilla knew that challenges might still arise, but for now, justice had been served. The late queen's memory was honored, her family's claim recognized, and the balance between courage and respect had guided the day's events. And as the shadows of night settled over Arendelle, Camilla looked out over the palace gardens, ready for whatever came next, confident that truth and diligence would always light her path. The news of Camilla's successful claim spread quickly through the kingdom of Arendelle. By the morning after the council's decision, townspeople, merchants, and nobles alike were talking in hushed voices about the bold young noblewoman who had challenged tradition and emerged recognized. Some admired her courage, while others whispered doubts about her motives. Camilla and Thomas walked through the palace gardens, careful to stay out of the crowds, but the excitement in the air was palpable. "This is remarkable," Thomas said, glancing around. "People are already talking about you, Camilla. Some praise your determination, but others, they seem cautious, almost wary." Camilla nodded. "It is to be expected, Thomas. When change occurs, people feel uncertain. Some may support us, others may oppose, but we must focus on what is right and fair. Our family's claim is recognized. That is the first step, so now we ensure it is respected and honored." Captain Rowan joined them, walking quietly alongside. "Lady Camilla, I must commend you again," he said. "Few have managed to navigate the council with such skill. You showed courage, patience, and respect. However, be aware that not all nobles will be pleased. There may be challenges or envy. You must remain vigilant." Camilla straightened her posture. "I understand, Captain. I am ready to face any opposition. My goal is not to create enemies, but to honor the late Queen's memory and ensure justice for my family." Rowan nodded approvingly. "Wise words. Let us proceed carefully. Today, I suggest we begin introducing your family's representatives to the palace staff and neighboring nobles. Establishing goodwill will help prevent unnecessary disputes." Camilla agreed, and together they visited the various chambers of the palace, introducing themselves to officials, servants, and advisors. Camilla spoke politely, acknowledging the late Queen's memory and explaining her family's gratitude for the council's decision. Many of the staff expressed admiration for her respectful approach, while others were cautious but willing to listen. By midday, word had reached the palace courtyard, where a small gathering of local nobles had assembled. Among them was Lord Devlin, a senior noble known for his ambition and sharp tongue. He approached Camilla with a polite but calculated smile. "Lady Camilla," he said, bowing lightly, "I have heard of your recent success. Congratulations are in order, though I must admit I am curious about the basis of your claim. Some say it was bold, others say reckless." Camilla returned the bow, maintaining her calm demeanor. "Thank you, Lord Devlin. I presented the documents and letters that prove my family's connection to the late Queen. The council has verified their authenticity, and my family's claim has been recognized. I hope this will help maintain harmony in the kingdom and honor the Queen's legacy." Devlin's smile remained polite, but his eyes held a glint of calculation. "Indeed, harmony is important. Yet change can be unsettling. I hope your family understands the responsibilities that come with this recognition." Camilla met his gaze steadily. "We do, Lord Devlin. My family will honor the Queen's memory, protect the lands, and maintain the trust placed in us. We seek only justice and fairness, nothing more." Thomas, standing beside her, added, "We also hope to build positive relationships with neighboring nobles, ensuring cooperation rather than conflict." Devlin inclined his head. "Very well. I look forward to observing how this unfolds. May your family's actions reflect wisdom and diligence." He turned and walked away, leaving a sense of cautious curiosity among the other nobles. Later in the afternoon, Camilla received word that several townspeople had come to the palace to express their support. Many had fond memories of the late Queen, and were pleased to see justice done. Camilla and Thomas walked among them, listening to their stories and receiving words of encouragement. One elderly woman approached, bowing respectfully. "Lady Camilla, my family has lived under the care of the late Queen for generations. We feared her treasures might be lost or misused, but your actions have brought hope. We are grateful for your dedication and fairness." Camilla smiled warmly. "Thank you for your kind words. It is my duty and my family's responsibility to honor the Queen's memory and ensure that her legacy is preserved for the good of all. Your support means much to us." As the day progressed, Camilla realized that her public recognition brought not only support, but also the attention of those who might seek to challenge her. Rumors began to circulate about jealous nobles and distant relatives who might attempt to dispute her claim or take advantage of any perceived weakness. Camilla understood that vigilance and careful planning would be necessary. That evening, she convened a private meeting in the estate's council room with Thomas, Captain Rowan, and a few trusted family advisors. Maps of the Queen's former properties were spread across the table, along with lists of responsibilities and potential challenges. "We have gained recognition," Camilla began, "but our work has only begun. Some nobles may attempt to undermine us. Others may question our decisions. We must establish clear guidelines for managing these lands, maintaining trust and protecting our family's reputation." Thomas nodded. "We should also communicate openly with the townspeople and the palace staff. Transparency will help prevent misunderstandings and build confidence." Captain Rowan added, "I recommend assigning guards to key estates and properties, not as a threat, but to ensure safety and prevent any opportunistic actions from those who might try to take advantage of the situation." Camilla agreed. "We will do so discreetly. Our goal is to maintain harmony, not to create fear. We must lead with fairness, diligence, and respect." The advisors discussed strategies for establishing alliances with neighboring nobles and other influential figures in the kingdom. Camilla emphasized the importance of patience and careful judgment, understanding that diplomacy and wise decisions would ensure the long-term stability of her family's claim. The following days were filled with activity. Camilla met with palace officials to review historical records, ensuring every aspect of her claim was properly documented. She visited local towns and estates, speaking with leaders and residents, listening to concerns, and offering reassurance that her family intended to honor the late Queen's legacy faithfully. Captain Rowan accompanied her on each visit, providing guidance and maintaining security. He observed how she listened carefully, made thoughtful decisions, and treated everyone with respect. Even those who were initially skeptical began to recognize her wisdom and commitment. During one visit to a nearby village, Camilla noticed a group of children playing near a fountain. She paused, smiling at their laughter. "Thomas," she said softly, "this is why we do this, not for power or wealth, but to ensure that people can live in safety and happiness as the late Queen would have wanted." Thomas smiled, understanding the deeper meaning in her words. "You are right, Camilla. We are not just claiming property. We are taking responsibility for the well-being of others. That is true leadership." Camilla felt a renewed sense of purpose. Every meeting, every conversation, every act of fairness strengthened her position and demonstrated that her claim was not just about family, but about justice and the welfare of the kingdom. Word of her integrity and dedication reached the palace, and even Lord Henley and Lady Marin expressed admiration for her approach. The council acknowledged that her family's claim was handled with remarkable balance, assertive yet respectful, bold yet cautious. One evening, after a long day of meetings and visits, Camilla stood on the balcony of her estate, looking at the lights of the kingdom below. Thomas joined her, and they watched as the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky. "We have done much," Thomas said quietly, "but there is still more to do. Some nobles may still test us, and responsibilities are growing." Camilla nodded. "Yes, Thomas, but we have the truth, preparation, and integrity on our side. We face challenges, yes, but with patience, wisdom, and courage we will overcome them. The late Queen's memory will be honored, and our family will fulfill its duty." As they stood together, the cool night air surrounding them, Camilla felt a sense of calm determination. The recognition was not the end. It was the beginning of a journey filled with responsibility, diplomacy, and vigilance. Her family's rightful place had been secured, But the task of honoring the late queen and maintaining harmony in the kingdom required continuous effort. And so, with courage in her heart, wisdom in her mind, and support from her brother and allies, Camilla prepared for the days ahead. She knew that challenges would come, rival nobles might test her, and unforeseen obstacles could arise. But she was ready. The story of her family's claim, their dedication to justice, and their respect for the late queen's memory had only just begun, and the kingdom of Arendelle would soon witness the full measure of her determination and leadership. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity for Camilla and her family. With the council's recognition secured, the next step was to ensure that the newly confirmed properties were properly managed and respected. Camilla moved with careful precision, balancing responsibility with diplomacy, knowing that every action could influence the perception of her family and the legacy of the late queen. One morning, as sunlight filtered through the palace windows, Camilla met with Captain Rowan and Thomas in the estate's strategy room. Maps and letters covered the large wooden table. Rowan's face was serious, reflecting the careful attention required in the days ahead. "Lady Camilla," he began, "now that the council has recognized your claim, it is important to maintain order and prevent any disputes from arising. Some nobles may still test the limits of your authority or question your right to certain lands." Camilla nodded. "I expected as much. Our work is not finished. I will ensure fairness in every decision, and I will meet any challenge with truth and preparation. We cannot allow jealousy or ambition to disrupt the balance we have achieved." Thomas spoke up, pointing to the maps. "We should start by visiting each property, assessing its condition, and speaking with local leaders. If they see our family's commitment and respect, they will follow our guidance willingly." Camilla agreed. "Yes, we will lead by example. The late queen's memory must be honored in every decision. We will not just claim lands. We will serve the people and ensure their well-being." That day they began visiting the properties, accompanied by Captain Rowan and a small team of trusted advisors. At each estate, Camilla and Thomas spoke with caretakers, tenants, and village leaders. They listened carefully, noted concerns, and promised that their family would maintain the lands with fairness and diligence. In one village, an elderly man approached Camilla with hesitation. "Lady Camilla, we have lived here under Queen Isolde's care for decades. Some feared that new owners might be harsh or careless. But you have shown respect and understanding. We are grateful." Camilla smiled warmly. "Thank you for your trust. My family will do everything in our power to ensure that these lands remain well cared for. The late queen's legacy will guide our actions." News of her dedication spread quickly. Villagers began sharing stories of Camilla's visits, praising her humility, respect, and fairness. Even distant nobles who had initially whispered doubts about her bold claim began to acknowledge her integrity and skill. Yet challenges arose. One afternoon, as Camilla returned to the palace, she was approached by Lord Devlin, the noble who had earlier expressed cautious curiosity. His expression was polite, but his words carried subtle tension. "Lady Camilla," he said, bowing lightly, "I have observed your actions and must admit your dedication is impressive. However, some of your newly acquired lands were previously under dispute by other noble families. They may seek to challenge your claim." Camilla met his gaze steadily. "Thank you for your concern, Lord Devlin. My family's claim was verified and recognized by the council. If disputes arise, we will address them with evidence, law, and fairness. We do not seek conflict, only justice." Devlin nodded slowly. "I admire your wisdom. It is rare to see determination balanced with such patience. I hope that your example will encourage harmony among the nobles." Camilla's heart lifted slightly. Even those who might have been rivals recognized her integrity. "Harmony is my goal, Lord Devlin. The kingdom thrives when fairness guides our actions, and the memory of the late queen is honored in every decision." As the weeks passed, Camilla continued her visits and meetings. Each day brought new responsibilities, overseeing repairs on estates, organizing resources for villages, and ensuring that historical records were preserved. She worked tirelessly, often starting before dawn and ending late at night, but her energy never wavered. One evening, after a long day of reviewing documents and meeting with village leaders, Camilla stood on the balcony of her estate. Thomas joined her, and they looked out at the moonlit landscape. The field stretched wide, and the lights of the villages sparkled like stars below. "We have accomplished much," Thomas said quietly, "but the responsibility is enormous. Do you feel ready for all of it?" Camilla took a deep breath, her gaze firm. "Yes, Thomas. Responsibility is not a burden if it is guided by truth, fairness, and respect. We will face challenges, but we have learned patience, preparation, and the importance of listening. That will guide us through anything." The next morning, a formal ceremony was arranged in the palace to celebrate the official recognition of Camilla's family and their commitment to the late queen's legacy. Nobles, council members, and citizens were invited. The grand hall was filled with light, laughter, and anticipation. Camilla wore a simple yet elegant gown of blue and silver, her posture proud but humble. Thomas stood by her side, and Captain Rowan was near, ready to ensure everything proceeded smoothly. Lord Henley opened the ceremony. "Today we recognize Lady Camilla and her family for their rightful claim to certain properties of the late Queen Isolde. Beyond the claim, we acknowledge their commitment to justice, diligence, and respect for the crown and the people of Arendelle." Applause filled the hall. Camilla bowed respectfully. "Thank you, my lord. My family and I are honored by the council's recognition. We promise to uphold the responsibilities entrusted to us, to honor the memory of the late queen, and to serve the people faithfully." Lady Marin stepped forward. "Lady Camilla has demonstrated courage, preparation, and wisdom. Her actions show that justice can be pursued with integrity, and that even bold challenges can lead to fairness when approached thoughtfully." The crowd murmured with approval, some nobles nodding in respect. Even Lord Devlin, observing from the side, inclined his head, acknowledging her skill and character. As the ceremony concluded, Camilla moved through the hall. Speaking briefly with nobles, advisors, and citizens alike, she listened carefully, offered thoughtful responses, and ensured that everyone felt heard and respected. Her presence inspired confidence not just in her family's claim, but in the way leadership could be exercised with fairness and humility. Later that evening, Captain Rowan escorted Camilla and Thomas back to their private quarters. "You have done well, Lady Camilla," he said, "not only in securing your family's claim, but in showing the kingdom the value of courage, preparation, and respect. You have earned admiration not only from the council, but from the people as well." Camilla smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and pride in her expression. "Thank you, Captain. Your guidance and patience have been invaluable. This recognition is not the end. It is the beginning of fulfilling our duties with care and respect." Thomas added, "We have seen that fairness and diligence can win trust, even in challenging circumstances. I feel proud to be part of this journey with you, Camilla." Camilla placed a hand on his shoulder. "We are a family, Thomas. Our strength comes from unity, wisdom, and the courage to act when needed. We will continue to honor the late Queen's memory and ensure that justice guides our every decision." In the following months, Camilla's family settled into their responsibilities. Estates were maintained, villagers' needs were addressed, and relationships with neighboring nobles strengthened. Camilla became a respected figure in the kingdom, known not only for her bold claim but also for her integrity, diplomacy, and leadership. Captain Rowan continued to support her, offering advice when needed and ensuring that the palace and properties remained secure. Thomas grew more confident as well, learning the importance of responsibility, preparation, and listening to others. Together, the siblings became a symbol of fairness, courage, and thoughtful leadership in Arendelle. One evening, as Camilla walked through the palace gardens, she paused by a fountain, remembering the day she first arrived at the palace with determination and hope. The path had been challenging, filled with tension, doubts, and moments of uncertainty. But through patience, preparation, and respect for the truth, she had achieved recognition for her family and established a legacy of integrity. She looked at the stars above, feeling a sense of calm determination. "This is only the beginning," she whispered to herself. "But the path is clear. Justice, respect, and diligence will guide every step." And so in the kingdom of Arendelle, Camilla's story became one of courage, wisdom, and honor. She had faced bold challenges, navigated difficult decisions, and emerged not only with her family's rightful claim secured, but also with the admiration and trust of the council, nobles, and citizens alike. The late Queen's memory was preserved, and Camilla's family was entrusted with responsibility, respect, and a legacy that would endure for generations. The kingdom watched as a new chapter began, one where fairness and courage triumphed, and where a young noblewoman's determination had shown that truth and integrity could shape the destiny of an entire realm. Camilla knew that challenges might still come, but she was ready. With her family by her side, Captain Rowan's guidance and the support of the people, she would face any obstacle with patience, wisdom, and courage. The story of her claim had reached its conclusion, but her journey as a responsible leader, protector of justice, and guardian of the Queen's legacy had only just begun.